Even with some bombs at the box office, it is a very good summer for Hollywood. Film ticket sales in North America are expected to top $4.7 billion. That is up more than 10% from the same time last year. Attendance jumped nearly 7%, and the fall movies are right around the corner. Joining us now is Michael Hogan, entertainment editor for the Huffington Post. Mike, good morning to you.
Good morning.
I've surrendered that we'll ever be talking about a rom-com, a traditional one on Earth. So let's get right into these action movies. Gravity, starring George Clooney and Sandra Bullock, and Bullock is getting a lot of hype about her performance.
Yeah, they're saying it's her best performance ever, which is saying something. And you're right, it does feel like some of the summer ethics are kind of seeping into fall here. The movie's in 3D, you've got groundbreaking CGI, but it really is a drama. There's very few people in it. It's really Sandra Bullock's movie with a little assist by George Clooney. And she plays an astronaut who has been kind of knocked off of her ship. And the whole film, it's a tight 90-minute film. It's her trying to, get back to the ship, save her own life with help from George Clooney. And I'm really looking forward to this one. I think it's going to be a really cool movie.
There's another kind of stranded movie, and this one, Robert Redford is the only cast member, correct?
Right, Robert Redford alone, and no dialogue. There's a little voiceover at the beginning, and that's it. Robert Redford plays a man, he doesn't even have a name, stranded at sea, fighting the elements.
All Is Lost, right?
All Is Lost is the name of this film, exactly.
What about Rush? This one's directed by Ron Howard. It's about this 1976 Grand Prix. Why is this theme that we're seeing so many fall movies based on true stories? Why is that so prevalent?
Well, this is the time of year when, people who read the paper every day looking for an amazing story that they can option for a movie, when those movies start to come out, and that's right. What Hollywood is always trying to take. Hey, this is a real story of people overcoming the odds and proving, that's what every Hollywood movie wants to do, is show us that we can do that. And when those stories happen, they get snapped up, and this is the time of year they come out. Rush is a really cool story about two Formula One drivers who had an amazing rivalry in the summer of 1976. James Hunt was the Brit, Niki Lauda was the Austrian. They had very different temperaments. And the fact that Americans don't know much about F1 in a way might help, because we don't know the ending. So you're kind of gripped by this story the whole time. What's going to happen next? If it were a baseball movie, we'd all say, well, we know he hits the home run or who won the World Series. But here, it's wide open, and yet it really is a true story.
We've also got Tom Hanks playing the captain of a ship hijacked by Somali pirates, right?
Yes, yeah, and this is another true story about a ship that was off of Somalia. It was the first American ship to be taken over by pirates since the 19th century, and Captain Richard Phillips, played by Tom Hanks with a very cool Boston accent, they get taken over. And I think one of the interesting things, the twist about the film, is that you end up really seeing the point of view of the young 17 and 19-year-old pirates. And it's not just a story about Americans kind of in danger, but the story about this really terrible situation there.
What about 12 Years a Slave? This one's also a true story, like you said, the theme of sort of the fall movies. A lot of people are saying this could get some early Oscar buzz.
It's got early Oscar buzz, absolutely. Just premiered at Telluride. It's going to be at Toronto Film Festival next week. Steve Mcqueen, not the one you heard of back in the 60s in Bullet, but the British artist, is now a filmmaker. This is his third film. Shame was his last film with Michael Fassbender. He has directed this film about a free-born black man in the 19th century who ends up in the South as a slave on a plantation. Chiwetel Ejiofor is considered a definite front-runner to get nominated for an Oscar. Also Fassbender in the running for a Best Supporting. And I think this film it looks like it's going to be nominated for Best Picture. So very excited to see this one.
For the moviegoers who are looking for something a little less dramatic, you're recommending Las Vegas. Why?
Las Vegas looks like a lot of fun, actually. You got Robert De Niro, Michael Douglas, Kevin Kline, Morgan Freeman, all playing four guys who go to Las Vegas for a bachelor party at their age, 60s and 70s.
That does sound fun.
So, yeah, I mean, it's just obviously it's a really funny premise, and I think that one will be good.
What about this Academy Award nominated director Ridley Scott? He has a new film called The Counselor. What do you expect from him this time around?
Well, Ridley Scott has done everything from Blade Runner to Thelma and Louise to Gladiator. So anytime he makes a movie, you want to pay attention. And Cormac McCarthy actually wrote the script for this one. Obviously wrote the novel The Road and No Country for Old Men. And then I haven't even brought up the cast, which includes Brad Pitt and Michael Fassbender again, Cameron Diaz, Penelope Cruz. So there's just like so much talent around this thing. Fassbender is the star of it, which I think is great. This is the year it looks like where he's going to get his profile raised. And he plays a lawyer who starts getting involved in drug trafficking and really ends up in a world of trouble with a bunch of nefarious characters played by all these great actors. So I think this one's going to be really cool.
And finally, the late James Gandolfini is in a film called Enough Said. It's not a Tony Soprano kind of part, is it?
It's not at all. You know, this is his last leading role that he shot. He plays opposite Julia Louis-Dreyfus as a nice guy who is the leading man in a romantic comedy. And Julia Louis-Dreyfus plays a masseuse, and they're both divorced. They start getting together, and then one of Julia Louis-Dreyfus's clients turns out to be Gandolfini's ex-wife and starts feeding her all this negative stuff about Gandolfini. She has to kind of overcome that. So that's the setup, and it's an interesting way to kind of get our last chance to spend some time
almost
with
a romantic
James.
comedy for me.
It is. It really is. So you've got that to look forward to.
All right, a somewhat promising fall, Mike Hogan. Thanks very much.
Thank you.